Hi, so we're going to talk about the modal verbs, okay, modal verbs. So which are the modal verbs? There's 11. So we've got can, might, shall, will, could, must, should, would, may, and ought to, okay? Some people say have to as well, but officially it's not a modal verb, but I will go into that next. Okay, so firstly we need to know how we use them. So there's lots of different forms for using the modal verbs. And first we're going to look at degrees of probability. Okay, degrees of probability. So we can have things that are definite, yes, certain, and we can have things that are almost impossible. So you've got certain and then almost impossible. You've got two extremes, okay? And I'm just going to show you a picture so you can see how these verbs work with degrees of probability. So as you can see on the picture, we've got things that are really certain. So we could have can, for example, very certain, or must. So for example, like in the picture, we have the sample sentence below, which is Iceland can be cold in winter, because of course it's always cold in winter, so it's really certain. So we're at this extreme, okay? And then we have the opposite extreme, which is impossible. Okay, nothing's impossible, I say, but a lot of things are almost impossible. So for example, if I bought a lottery ticket, I could say I might win the lottery next week. Okay, I might win the lottery next week. It's not completely impossible because I have a ticket, but it's almost impossible. Okay, then we have the ones that are in between. Okay, so we have should. For example, we could say you should go to the doctors, okay? So it's not completely certain, but it's a good idea. You should go to the doctors. You might think you have annoyed someone, so you could say, I think I may have annoyed Claire, for example. So I think I may have annoyed Claire. It's not certain. It's not impossible. It's somewhere in between. I think I may have annoyed Claire, okay? So there we have the different possibilities of probability, okay? Another one as well on the sure things would be will. So for example, you could say I will go to London next summer. You already have bought your ticket. It's completely certain. I will go to London next summer. Okay, so that's the ones for probability. So now we've got ability, or ability in the past, okay? And for these sentences we use can and could, okay? So this is probably the easiest concept to understand with modal verbs. So an ability is something we can do, yeah? Hence can being used. So for example, I could say I can drive, I can swim, yeah? So they are abilities. You can ask someone their ability, so can you swim? Can you play the piano? Yeah? And obviously the answer would be I can. Okay? If you can't do them, yeah, so it's a negative, so it's the ability you haven't got, so it would be I can't swim. Okay? If someone isn't able to swim, they don't know how to swim, then it's an ability they haven't got, so it would be I can't swim. Okay? Now, the next level is in the past with abilities, and for that we use could, okay, could. So, for example, maybe when you were a child, you lived in France, so you were fluent in French, but now you've completely forgotten it, and it's not an ability anymore, okay? So you would say, when I was little, I could speak French fluently, but now I can't. Okay, so it's an ability in the past that now you cannot do. Or maybe you've injured your leg and you could say, before I could run very fast, but now I can only walk. Okay? So that's the two parts of ability. Okay, so the next bit we've got is asking and giving permission. So, for example, we might be a teenager and we're asking our mom if we can go to the cinema. So you could say, Mom, can I go to the cinema? And of course you would say, yes, you can. Okay, so can I go? Asking permission. Yes, you can. Giving permission. Okay. Now, a very polite form in English is to use the words may and would. Okay, so maybe in a work situation or somewhere you don't know the people, and you might say, may I go to the toilet, please? And they will say, well, yes, you can. Okay, or yes, you may. Okay, so again, may I go? Asking permission. Yes, you may. Giving permission. And then with would, it works the same. So it would be, for example, you're in a cafe and you see a spare seat on the table and you say, would it be possible to take that seat, please? And of course they go, yes, it's free, you can take it. So would it be possible to take the seat, please? Okay. So that's quite an easy concept. And then we're going to another concept, which is degrees of obligation. Okay. So we have degrees of obligation, and the most compulsory or strict condition of obligation is with the verb must. Okay, so for example, you have these signs in places of something that is completely compulsory. So for example, you could say, you must not smoke in this restaurant. You must not smoke in this restaurant. It's completely compulsory. You cannot smoke in this restaurant, okay? Or maybe at the entrance to a park, you could say, you must not bring dogs into the park. So you know it's completely compulsory. It's not permitted to bring dogs into the park, okay? Now, you can go to a slightly less degree of obligation, or you could in fact call it advice with the verb should. Should. So maybe you think your friend has been ill and you give her some advice. You say, I think you should go to the doctors. Okay, so I think you should go to the doctors. You're giving an advice. It's not compulsory that she goes to the doctor, but it would be a good idea. Okay. In Spanish, you could probably translate should often as deber, so debería ir al médico, yeah? Okay. You've also, in this stage, could use have to, which, as I said before, is not officially a modal verb, but have to would work the same as must, because it's quite a strong obligation. However, it's an obligation that you yourself want to give to yourself, okay? So, maybe I have to go to the supermarket tomorrow, I've run out of eggs. It's not a rule, it's not completely compulsory, but it's something that you have to do for yourself. Okay, so you have to go to the supermarket. So in that case, you could use the verb have to. Okay, and now we're going to look at how we form the sentences with modal verbs, what structure they take, in which order we should put the verbs. So I'm just going to show you a picture again. So we're looking at the sentence structure with modal verbs. Okay, so you've seen the picture, so you can see the subject is first, then we have the modal verb, then we have the infinitive, or some people call it the bare infinitive because it has no to. Okay, so just the infinitive verb without to, and then of course we have the object. So as you can see in the picture, you could have the tourists, yes, subject, should, modal verb, go, so go without to go, and home, the object. As I said, the tourist should go home. You could have the subject they, so they might, yeah, modal verb, might follow without to, follow us. They might follow us. Okay, so never they might to follow us. No, it doesn't work. It's they might follow us. Okay, so that's everything for modal verbs. Thank you.